Alright, so now I'm going to show you how to make a bowstring. Here's the Mollegabet. It's been drying for a little bit. I just put a little bit more glue around the edges. They're running a little bit thin. But basically, all I've got here for my jig is you can buy like fancy jigs online and stuff, but you honestly don't need it. I've got a 7-foot long 2x4 with a nail in the end there, and then just kind of nails leading up to that, so just a couple inches apart, doesn't really matter. And then one nail down at the bottom right there. So how I'm going to do this is, I think I'll put you right right there, and I'll explain to you what I'm doing. So what I'm making this bowstring out of is Dacron, B50 Dacron. This stuff is pre-waxed, so I don't need to use bowstring wax. And how I'll do this is, first I'm going to take a little bit, and right at the end of that nail right there. So this is a 6-foot bow, which means I'm going to need a 7-foot to start stringing it out. I've noticed that it takes about a foot to for like the ends, the loops, and I'm estimating that it's going to come around 45 pounds, maybe a little more than that. So I'm going to use 12 strands. So what I'll do is, first run it all the way down to the nail, loop it around, come back. So that's 2 strands right there. 10, and so that last bow that I did that was in around 30 pounds, I would have stopped at 10. But since this bow is a little bit heavier, I'll do 12. Put that there. Get all these strands together, roughly. Then I'll stretch that out an inch or so. Grab my knife, and making sure that that's pinched down. There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, let me make sure you can still see me. There. So I've got here these 2 different bundles, and I'm actually going to go down to the end and make sure that I've got these all sorted out right. I know you can't see this, but I'm just separating the bundles from where I wrapped it. Yeah, and I was a little bit off. One came over the nail there. There we go. So all I've done is separated those 2. And what I'll do now is just cut the end and grab those 2 bundles together in my hand. So I'll hold them both down to the board like that, and just saw it off right there with a knife. And this knife is not sharp at all. It's easier if you use a sharp knife, but I actually just found this while hiking yesterday, so that's all I had in my pocket. Alright, so I've got 2 strings right here. I'll just give them a quick twist. Now this first nail I have here is a little bit too short, actually. I'll go down to this one. I'll do it. And what I'll do is I'll just cross them. And this is a Flemish twist bowstring. So the first thing I'll do is I'll cross them. Then I'll give it both of the strands a clockwise twist. And then, oh, I crossed the wrong one over. I'll give both the strands a clockwise twist. And then I'll cross them counterclockwise. So I'm twisting clockwise with my fingers, and then twisting counterclockwise the other way. Actually, I might have to go down to the next nail. I think you can see that. Yeah. So I'm twisting clockwise and then counterclockwise. And it's really easy. This is called a Flemish twist bowstring. Yeah, I'm going to have to go down to the next nail. So I'll just undo that. And I guess that's probably half a foot down here, and start over again. Whoops. It's fine. There's really hard to mess these up, as long as you get your jig right. And once again, this is 7 foot long for a 6 foot bow. So if you had a 7 foot bow, then you make the jig 8 foot long. And I suppose you could use this to make shorter bowstrings too, but I don't really make any bows shorter than 6 foot. So now I'm just twisting this still. And it'll take a little while, and just make sure that you get the knock loop correct, because if you don't, it's trouble. You have to undo everything if you make it too short. And then you also have to have sufficiently long ends here, or otherwise your loop will pull out while you're shooting, and that would be bad. So if you didn't have waxed bowstrings, you'd have to run either beeswax or special bow making wax up and down these strands so that they stick together. And let me check that strand. No, not enough yet for the knock there. I think the only difference between beeswax and bowmaker's wax is that bowmaker's wax has some extra resin that you can have while you're twisting. And that's pretty good there. Now what I'll do is I'll take these and I'll line these up. I'll pull this off the nail, line that knock up, loop the knock around like that, and then line the bundles up from the ends down there. So as you can see there, I've just put the knock on that nail and then line the bundles up with those. And from here, I'll come around to this side and I will start doing the same thing with the entire bowstring. And it's okay if they're too long. The problem is when it gets too short, because what you can do with the Flemish twist bowstring is if they're too long, you just twist it you string one side of your bow and then you twist the other end, and it makes it shorter. And the only problem you run into is when it's too short, and then you're kind of out of luck. So once I've gotten to the end here, I'll try and get those in as far as I can, so I'll get them twisted. And then you want to go an inch more maybe, because it gives you a nice taper. And you end up with little pieces that stick out of the twist like that, and then I'll just trim those off when we're done. Okay. So here we have a finished end right there, and I'm just holding my finger there for now. What I'll do now is, I don't know if you'll see this, but there we go. I'll just run this end all the way down here, keep those separate, hook that on there, and then I'll take a clamp and I'll just clamp this down here to keep it from unraveling while we're doing the other side. Doesn't have to be very tight. So then I can take this, put it on that nail, and then cut it, and we're right back where we started. So that's how you do it. And yeah, I'll finish that, and then next video I'll probably have the bowstring and the bow completed. So that'll be fun.